Welcome, y'all, to the Never Stop podcast. I'm your host, Z Jones, and this is our first episode today. I'm very excited. I'm hyped. I'm ready to tune in with y'all and just talk hoops, talk basketball, and just give my perception and my opinion on the game that we all love to watch and love to play. So, we're going to start off with 5 topics. The first one is going to be, what are your thoughts on the All-Star game? Well, what are my thoughts on the All-Star game? What to expect the last 20 games of the season, and who's my sleeper contender coming out of the West? And should JT come back or sit out the rest of the season? And the last one's going to be MVP convo, top 5 candidates right now. So let's dive right in. So my thoughts on the All-Star game, I was extremely impressed. I'm happy the NBA brought back the competitive nature because the last 5-10 years have been extremely stale. Guys ain't taking it serious. Guys is chucking up shots. Guys ain't gonna take this shit seriously. They trying to stay focused and trying to remain injury free the remainder of the season. So I get that it's a risk factor. So it's like, why am I gonna take a risk getting injured when my team is depending upon me and we have a shot to actually compete for a championship? Okay, makes sense, right? But that takes away from the fans. That takes away from us being entertained, and we want to see a good show. That's just what it is. I get it's contradicting, but one hand washes the other. So yeah, my thoughts on the All-Star game, I was extremely impressed. I'm happy that the NBA made the changes and made it the world versus the USA, because as we all know, we all listen to blogs, we all listen to social media, we all turn in and we tap in and people give their opinion on shit. But it's like we hear everybody say that the world is now the most dominant. The world has the most talented or the most fundamentally sound players in the world. Makes sense? So it's like, this has been a debate for quite some time. They talk about how Europeans, their skill development's much further ahead than the US game. We depend so much on outside shooting and not trying to really, just rush shots and just not really trying to build our skill set. So it's like, I love that the commissioner came up with this platform. Well, this type of foundation for the game, because it's gonna motivate the U.S. players to play that much harder to try to show that we are still the dominant force in the world. Like, the U.S. has been dominating basketball since the beginning of time. And I think it really just gave the young guys that edge, like Ant Edwards, Jalen Johnson, Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, Devin Booker, etc. Like, these are the rising faces of the NBA, obviously. Some of them have been solidified for the last couple of years. Pardon me, sorry, Devin Booker. But the rest of the guys, like, they're still trying to solidify their name. Well, Anthony Edwards too. He's been to the conference. He went to the Western Conference Finals back-to-back years. So that's not a slate to you, and my fault about that. So it's like, it gives them the opportunity to gun for the number one spot, because we all know guys like KD, Curry, LeBron, they've carried the torch the last 10, 15 seasons, right? Everybody says they're the face of basketball. Well, they're the faces of basketball. People have been saying the last few years that the world is a legit threat, and they think that the rest of the world's players are better than the US's players. The US underlings went out there and showcased and proved why the US is still the most dominant force in the world when it comes to basketball, which I expected. I'm not going to lie. I picked their team to win prior to the event starting because I knew that they had the most hunger and they had the most to prove. And they probably have the best competitive edge right now. Like, I wouldn't say that LeBron, KD, Kawhi, Jaylen Brown, Steph, even though Steph didn't play, I wouldn't say that those guys aren't as competitive. Well, Jaylen Brown's still active. He's still gunning for the top. But guys like Kawhi, KD, Braun, like, I wouldn't say that they're necessarily not competitive, but like, they're already solidified. They're already legends, top 75 players. So it's like, they don't really care about really setting the tone moving forward, I would say. Then again, this is just my perception. So yeah, I just love the competitive nature. You saw everybody pushing each other. You actually saw guys closing out on defense, putting their hands up. You see guys freaking making the right passes. We didn't really see too many like just wasted motion or just shots chucked up. Like, it just brought that competitiveness back to the game. It's like, it gave all of us fans a treat to watch, because it's like, damn, what's gonna happen next? There was a point in time where Kawhi freaking, I don't know how many possessions in a row he scored, but he was damn near unstoppable. If we didn't have that competitive push, I don't know if guys like Kawhi would have actually like taken the game serious. He probably would have just been a walkthrough for him. So you saw guys like De'Aaron Fox, Ant-Man hitting game-winning shots. Like, I don't know. I just think like the competitive nature of it was pushed to a whole different level when you're talking about the totality of circumstances. So I love the new All-Star format. Keep it up. Let's run it back next year. And I'm sure it's just going to get better and better. It's going to turn into a real-life exhibition game at one point, similar to the Olympics. And I love that for the game. That's what we need. We need competitive nature. We need to see the best players come at each other. If there was one thing I would change about All-Star Weekend, is the dunk contest, because that shit was weak as fuck. We got to do better. Like, that shit was unacceptable. Like, I could have selected better candidates for the competition now. Like, where's guys like Jay Huff? Where's guys like Ant-Man? Where's guys like Zion? Even some names that fly in the radar. I know Johnny Furphy got hurt. He tore his ACL, but he would have been a great candidate, right? The list goes on. I can keep going. You know, there was so many great candidates that could have been mentioned, but we decided to settle with what we had or what was selected. So yeah, that's one thing I would change moving forward. Honestly, when we're talking about All-Star Weekend, just a dunk contest, and maybe implement a one-on-one competition. We want to see guys like KD, Wemby, Luka, Shea, Jaylen Brown, Kevin Durant, like the great one-on-one guys, go at each other full at 100%, and just battle royale, winner takes all. Throw Ant-Man in there. Just throw all the guys who are great one-on-one talents and let them go at each other. 3 dribbles max. Put a shot clock up. And let them dudes go at it. That would be fun to watch. So the next thing we're going to cover, right, is what to expect the last 20 games of the season. What to expect the last 20 games of the season is everybody putting forth their max effort. You got teams that are trying to make the playoffs that are in the play-in right now. You got your teams that are middle of the pack, 4 or 5, who are trying to gun up to maybe 3-1. You got the top tier teams like the Thunder and the Pistons just trying to maintain that level of dominance and be the number one team. Obviously, OKC's dealing with their injuries right now, so it's going to be tough for them to maintain the pace that they're at. But I believe they can do it. It's going to be tough, like I said, with SGA out. But expect teams like San Antonio to try to gun for them. Expect a team like Minnesota to try to gun for them. Expect Denver to gun for them as well. And I would say Denver, Minnesota, San Antonio, and I'm gonna throw the Clippers in there. Yes, the Clippers. Even the Lakers. The Lakers obviously have 2 of the top 10 players in the NBA right now, but they just can't seem to get it together defensively and as a core. But obviously things can change. Last 20 to 30 games of the year, they can tighten up, make a couple adjustments across the board. They have a great coach in JJ Redick. They have a great basketball mind in LeBron, and they have a great basketball mind in Luka. I do believe that those two and Austin Reeves can work together on offense. Those 3 guys can complement each other. I get there. All three of them are ball dominant players. Pause. I get they're all ball dominant, but at the same time, if they learn to share the basketball efficiently and make the right plays and the right reads, sky's the limit for them. They could challenge any of those teams and they could come out on top. The Lakers could very well be representing the West. We don't know. And then I would say that in the East, look for teams like the Raptors to try to make a run for those top 3 seeds. I would say the Cleveland Cavaliers, watch out for them. They believe that they have all the pieces to now compete for a chip, so they're gunning for the number 1 seed. The Celtics, obviously, nobody expected them to be second. Everybody expected them to be bottom of the barrel as a rebuilding year, maybe solidify a top pick in the draft and bring JT back next year, and then see how it plays out. But we made a drastic move at the trade deadline. We traded Anthony Simons for Nikola Vucevic, who is one of the most underrated bigs in the NBA. He's a great passer. He's a great leader. He's gonna box out and hit the boards hard, and he's just gonna make those right plays. He's a veteran. He's been around the game for a long time, so he's just gonna complement those guys. And then you talk about potentially bringing back JT. Now that's when shit gets scary, because it's like now it's a mystery. You can't underestimate them. It's like nobody expect them to be there, but it's like now they're here, and now you got to duke it out with them. And they have the experience factor, which could very well push them over the edge. So that is scary for teams like Detroit and New York, especially New York, because they were supposed to be the forefront coming into the East this year, because we all thought this was going to be a down year, right? We thought teams like Indiana were going to be down, teams like Boston were going to be down, and New York was just going to take the charge and lead right to the finals. Teams like the Pistons have surprised people. Toronto surprised people. Magic are a huge disappointment due to injuries, obviously, and Paulo having a down year. I would say that Miami could be a tough first round matchup for people because they have youth and they have athleticism, so that could be scary. Cleveland looked like they were a shell of themselves to start the year. And they've gained momentum just throughout. And now they make that big pitch, that big move they moved Darius Garland for James Harden. And now they haven't lost a game since it's happened. What are they, 4-0, 5-0 since the trade? So I don't know. It's going to get interesting in the East. It's literally up for grabs right now. It's a toss up. And may the best man win. Okay. The next topic we're going to jump into, right, is my sleeper contender in the West. My sleeper contender in the West, honestly, is the Los Angeles Clippers. We had high expectations of them coming to this year. They pushed the Nuggets to a 7-game series in the 2025 playoffs. The series could have gone either way. Obviously, we saw the Nuggets take OKC to 7 games, and it shows that the Clippers and the Nuggets were on the same level of competitiveness and the same level of skill, pretty much, and they challenged the champions in 7 games. So we had high expectations of the Clippers coming into this year. They started the season extremely weak. They were injury rattled. They were dealing with the Kawhi scandal of him allegedly accepting money under the table, which we don't know anything about. And we haven't got an update on it, which is beyond me. So I don't know what the fuck is going on with that. Don't ask me anything on that. But they've gained momentum. Then they made a weird trade. After they gained momentum, they traded Harden for Darius Garland. But it's like, I get that too. He's younger. He still has time to grow. He still has time to mature and improve his game. So it might fit their timeline. It might not fit Kawhi's timeline the best necessarily, but it fits the Clippers' timeline moving forward because now they have younger pieces to build a foundation with. And then they go and trade their star big man, which was odd to me. But it's like they got Benedict Mathurin, and he's a fucking dog. Like a straight dog. We saw him cook shit all 2025 playoffs. We saw him fucking give OKC a run for their money in the finals. Like, this dude is a straight up killer. So if you add him with Kawhi, he's looking like freaking prime vintage version of himself. You had a guy who can give you 25, 30 in Mathurin. And if Garland's like 85% of himself, that's like another 18 to 20 points with like 5 to 7 assists. And they have great like role players, Chris Dunn, Nick Batum. They got that dude Miller. They still got Derrick Jones Jr. They got John Collins. They got Brook Lopez. Like, this could be a scary team potentially for a first round matchup. Like, I'm not sleeping on Kawhi Leonard in the best form of himself. We saw him carry the Toronto Raptors in 2019 to a championship. So I'm not counting this dude out at all. And they are going to be a tough first round matchup if they make the playoffs or if they win the play-in and make the playoffs through the play-in. So either way, they're going to be a tough matchup for anybody. So I would watch out for them. Another sleeper, I would say, in the West outside of the Clippers would be, I know they're not a sleeper, but Minnesota. Like, I just love how they've been able to be consistent the last 2-3 years and like slowly make improvements. Like, they're taking leaps and bounds forward. Just like, and you can't even really, to the average, or to the casual fan, you wouldn't even recognize it. But if you really like dialed in and locked in, you watch the games on a routine basis, you see that they've made drastic improvements. I think the number one factor for them is the trust factor. You know, Julius Randle was newly acquired last year. They didn't necessarily trust Rudy in drop coverage, like on that screen and roll action and him having an isolation matchup. And I think like they've instilled confidence in him, and I think they've told him like, listen, Rudy, we got your back, man. We know that you can play some defense, man. You know, you got 4 defensive player of the years for a reason. So just continue to have confidence in yourself and do the best you can. Yeah, you might get cooked, but bounce right back and fucking step up and play defense. Jaden McDaniels is obviously like their X factor and has emphasized that on numerous occasions. And we've seen this dude play. He's a fucking dog. Great two-way player. He's going to knock down threes. He's got a mid-range burner. He'll dunk on your center. He fucking picks up 94 feet. He's just a straight-up dog. And every team needs a player like that in order to compete for a championship. Am I right or am I wrong? I'm just saying, though. So, yeah, I would say Minnesota. They're extremely dangerous, depending on OKC's health, right? See, now I made a bet with somebody. I said that I made $100 bet. I said if OKC's not 100% healthy, there's no way they make it into the finals. The person disagreed with me and said, well, OKC's a well-oiled machine. I believe they're going to make it no matter what. I said, okay, well, I disagree with you on that. Watch how it happens. And I believe that if OKC's not 100%, I believe that this could be Ant-Man's year to finally make the championship and possibly win it all and just to become that face of the league. He has the charisma, he has the integrity, he has the energy, he's got that voice, he's a dog, like he's got that competitive nature that just like replicates Jordan. Just the way he pops his shit. He's just mean. Like he's just a fucking beast. And he'll dunk on you, cross you up. Like he got the spin fadeaway action. He's got that mid range elbow. He's just a mid range killer like Jordan. He's just a competitive freak. So it's like I very well think that this could be his year to finally take the crown if OKC is not healthy. So I will watch out for those two teams in the West. I watch out for Minnesota. Do not fucking sleep on them whatsoever. They made it to the conference finals back-to-back years. It's only a matter of time before they take the next hump. I mean, before they jump the next hump. Excuse me, pause. Whoa. And I would say, yeah, the Clippers, because vintage Kawhi is just, he's tough for anybody to stop, and they got those two young dudes who are basically unknowns of what they're capable of showing, and we don't know what they all look like as a unit yet. So it's like it's gonna get interesting. Those two teams are my sleeper teams in the West. Watch out for them, the Wolves and the Clippers. The next topic that we're gonna dive into that I really want to discuss, because this is a big one for me, because I am a Celtics fan. I'm a little biased, but I'm not gonna let that take over having common sense and being conscious minded. Like I get I'm a big time fan, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm gonna say that they're better than everybody else and they have the best chance just because they're my team. That's just unpitted bias, and this is not what this podcast for. So I really want to dive into this JT topic. I said, should JT come back or sit out the rest of the season? So I was iffy on this prior to the Vucevic trade because it's like I didn't believe we had the core necessary to compete for a ring. Excuse me. And it's like we didn't have a starting caliber big to compete for a chip. This is no slight to Nemi, right? This is no slight to Keita. Like he's a great big, but to me, he's a better backup asset than a starting center. And Anthony Simons was obviously frying, so that gave us leverage. And I think once we saw that Anthony could be used as leverage, and he's seemingly being downgraded a role because he's definitely a starting caliber player in the NBA. Let's just face it, he was fucking dropping almost 20 a game off the bench for the Celtics. So he was kind of like demoted, but he accepted his role because he's a professional and he's got a great attitude. So once we had the leverage to trade Anthony Simons for Nikola Vucevic, who is a perennial time all-star, he's experienced. He doesn't really rattle under pressure. He makes free throws. He grabs rebounds. He's a great passer. He's just going to make the right plays. Once we made that trade for him, it changed my whole perception on the Tatum saga. It's like, okay, so now we traded for a all-star level big, right? And we have our core nucleus of Derek, Peyton, and JB, and we've had great bench value with guys like Hugo, Sam, Josh Minot at times. We got Jordan Walsh. It's like, all right, now it kind of makes sense for Tatum to try to come back. I get it. We don't want him to come back and be a shell of himself or be at 85% or jeopardize an even longer term injury because he's our franchise player. We don't want to lose him for good. But it's like, if he's ready to go, why not let him make an attempt at it? Because it's like, he could come back and he could be 85, 90% off rip, and then the Celtics are right there as a championship contender again. Because it's like, if Tatum's 85, 90%, Celtics are like a bona fide favorite to win the East. Even though they got a well-balanced, well-oiled machine. They got offense, defense, they got dogs. I like the Celtics have an advantage over them because of that experience factor. So, yeah, I mean, even if JT decides to sit out for the rest of the year, I still think that we have an opportunity. We still got a shot, right? So, even if Tatum doesn't come back, cool. We let the season play out. And we build on top of whatever progress how much success we have this year, and we build upon that going into next year. And then if Tatum doesn't play, we bring Tatum back next year. He's 100%, and now we're fucking right back in the mix for top contenders in the NBA next year. We're probably the favorite to win the East next year, outside the Pacers when they get Hallie, Zubac, and they're probably gonna get a lottery pick as well. Goddamn, motherfuckers is finessing and maneuvering. So yeah, I think either way it works out. Like, we don't have to rush Tatum back, or we could bring him back and make a run for it this year. So I see the positives and negatives of both sides. And the last topic I want to cover, right, is the MVP convo. Who are my top five candidates right now? My number one candidate right now for MVP, I'm gonna have to say it's Cade Cunningham. Like the way that he has been able to just project his team, like the way like the trajectory of that team, like they had one of the worst records in NBA history 2 years ago, right? Last year, we saw the improvements. They were the sixth seed to end the East last year, and they got bounced in the first round by the Knicks. But that series could have seemingly gone either way if they made the right adjustments and fixed things at the end of games. But it's a story for a different day. This year, they've come back on just like a whole new level of just on a wrecking tour. They on bullshit, man. Like Motor City, bro, they back. The D's back, man. Like they got their identity back. Like they're tough dogs who are gonna go out there, pick up 94 feet. They're gonna make shots. They're gonna make the right plays, and they're all gonna play a tough brand of basketball. And Cade has been the forefront of that, and he's been the leader of that. So for them to have the number one record in the East, and for him to be averaging 25, 9, and 5, leading the league in assists, one of the leaders in steals, like I just think that the man deserves it. Like, yeah, I get it. Shea's great. They're last year's champions. He's averaging more points than he did when they won the championship, but it's like we expected this level of dominance from OKC. We didn't expect this from Detroit. And Detroit still has an opportunity to finish with the best record in the East. And in my opinion, if Detroit finishes with the best record in the East, I wouldn't say Cade's a unanimous MVP, but it's like, how do you not give it to him? Like, he's almost averaging a triple-double, and he's leading the league in assists, and they went from the worst team 2 years ago to the best team in the NBA. That's a gimme. Second, I would say it's Jaylen Brown. The way he's been able to carry the torch since Tatum's been gone, everybody had them at the bottom of the barrel. There's a rebuilding year. And for him to carry that workload and to have us at the second seat is, not gonna lie, that is fucking insane. There's ain't nobody expect that or believe that. Everybody's calling him Robin, second fiddle. He didn't deserve Finals MVP. He came back this year, and he's standing on business. He's here to tell y'all, like, yo, I'm that fucking nigga. Y'all better put some respect on my name. You know what I mean? So for him to be averaging damn near 30 points a night, with the Celtics possibly finishing with the number one record in the East, if the Celtics finish with the number one record in the East and he solely carried them to that, he's got to be the MVP. Third, I would say, depending on health, I would say that it's got to be the Joker, just because of his sheer level of dominance and the stats he's been able to put up. And just there's really no words for me to describe this. This is like a universal knowing and just understanding, like, this guy is doing shit that we've never seen done in basketball, like statistically, and the way he just changes the game. He's impossible to stop on the court. You pick your poison with him. So I would throw him in there just because of the fucking performances he showed. Fourth, I would say SGA. And this is not a knock to SGA because he's a great player. I love his game. Like, this whole story is just great. I love everything about SGA, right? But it's like we expected this level of dominance. You're not really doing anything different from the last 2 years, in my opinion. Like, you're scoring at the same rate. Your defense is just as good, but it's not taking anything away from you. I'm not undermining SGA. It's just like, in order for me to be blown away by SGA, he probably have to be averaging at least 35 to 40 points a game. That's fucking insane that he set the standard and the bar that high for himself. I get that's crazy. Like, damn, C. Jones, you want the nigga to average 35, 40 a game? It's like, bro, he's averaged 30 the last 2, 3 years. So, like, he's not doing anything different than he's done the past years. And OKC's been a great team the last 3 years. So it's like, how much credit can I really give them? They're a well-oiled machine. J-Dub's a beast. They got a great coach. They got Sam Presti as a GM. They got Chet. They have this plethora of role players that they can just plug in and fucking play defense and rebound. It's just like they have an unlimited arsenal. So it's like, I can't put Shea in my top three just for the simple fact that he has a great balanced attack and he's not really doing anything different from the previous years. And in my fifth, I would have to say Wemby, just because we didn't expect her trajectory. We expected them to hit this point probably next year or the year after, but we didn't expect Wemby year three, coming off a blood clot, missing basically all last year, to come back and fucking lead the Spurs to the second seed in the West and beat the OKC Thunder 4 times this year. We did not expect that. His trajectory is actually quicker than what we expect. And it's like, if he never got hurt this year and missed those games, he'd probably be the front runner for MVP. He's been dominated on a minute restriction. Guys averaging damn near 25 and 13 a night on minute restriction. That's scary. So imagine if he played the whole game. Like, he's gonna be averaging 35 and 15. So it's like, this year's really tough for MVP candidate. It's gonna come down to the final few games or the last game of the year. It's gonna be very interesting. This maybe even like let the first round of playoffs unravel, and then I get this is top five, but to round that out, I'm gonna throw a six in there, and this is a sleeper candidate. I would say Ant-Man. He's been fucking killing. His statistics in every category have improved. He's still one of the best. He's still one of the best 3-point shooters again this season. His competitive nature is still the same level, and it's just like you could tell that he's really going for it this year. Like, there's nothing that's gonna stop him. But yeah, those are my top five MVP candidates, and the six is a sleeper. Obviously, is Ant. But yeah, it was. Excuse me. It was great chopping it up with y'all today. Welcome to the Never Stop podcast. This is your host Z Jones, and make sure y'all tap in on a consistent basis. This isn't just going to be a 1 day a week thing. This isn't going to be, once every couple weeks type of thing. This is going to be on a routine basis. My goal is to be as consistent as I can with this new platform. I'm going to be having special guests here on consistent basis. And, I might have a co-host with me. He might be starting up very soon. So look forward to that. Yeah, man. Welcome to the Never Stop podcast with Z Jones. Peace, y'all.